Welcome to the deep dive. We connect you directly to the thinking that's really shaping our world. Today, we're looking behind the scenes at something huge, the new wave of innovative medicines. They offer incredible promise for patients, better outcomes, but, well, they also bring these really tough questions about cost, value, and maybe the biggest one, access. Yeah, so our mission today is to unpack alternative payment models, APMs. We're going to use a new framework, actually, from applied health economics and health policy. Think of it as a kind of shortcut to understanding these sometimes pretty complex solutions. And the goal for you is to grasp how these models can actually improve patient access and, importantly, support future innovation too. So let's start at the beginning. What are the core problems, the real sticking points that make APMs so necessary for both the drug makers and the payers? Because it sounds like it's more than just saying these drugs cost a lot.
That's exactly right. It's deeper than just the sticker price. This framework really helps because it breaks it down into three main uh, sort of categories of challenges that the old ways of paying just weren't designed for. First up is budget impact and uncertainty. You might have a new drug that's incredibly effective, maybe even saves money long term, but the first year cost could be, say, $1 billion. That's a huge hit to a budget.
$1 billion,
Or
wow.
think about a gene therapy like Zolgensma. Its wholesale acquisition cost, that's the list price before discounts, is over $2 million. So payers face this massive upfront cost and also uncertainty about how many patients will need it. That's what we call budget risk. It's just unpredictable.
Okay, that makes sense. Huge cost, unpredictable demand. What's the second piece?
The second is value uncertainty. So clinical trials are one thing, but how does a drug actually perform out there in the real world? Across different types of patients, payers are taking a risk if they're not sure about the true net benefit, the overall positive impact minus the downsides once it's widely used. The data just might not be there yet, or it might not reflect their specific patient population.
Right, the real world evidence gap.
Exactly. And the third big one is the scope of value assessment and negotiation. This gets a bit tricky. Think about a curative medicine. The benefit might last for decades, maybe a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
But payers often work in short budget cycles, maybe just 1 or 2 years.
Hmm.
So there's this fundamental mismatch. How do you pay for long-term value within a short-term system?
Yeah, paying for a marathon on a sprinter's budget, like you
Yeah,
said in the outline.
precisely.
Yeah.
And another angle here is a drug that works for multiple conditions, multiple indications. A single price might make it cost-effective for one use, but maybe less so for another. That can actually block access for patients who could still benefit, just maybe not as much relative to that single price point.
Okay, so we've got budget impact, value uncertainty, and this scope or timing mismatch. That paints a much clearer picture of the challenge. So how do APMs step in? How do they directly address these specific problems? Is there really a guide for picking the right one?
Yes, the framework basically acts like that guide. It maps these problems to potential APM solutions. So, for
Mhm.
instance, you've got things like outcome-based agreements, OBAs, where payment is literally tied to whether the drug achieves certain results in patients.
Paying for performance, essentially.
Right. Then there are installment models, kind of like financing a car, spreading that big upfront cost over time. That helps with the budget impact problem.
Oh,
You also see subscription models. Think Netflix, but for drugs. A payer pays a flat fee for unlimited access for their population. This tackles budget uncertainty and can broaden access.
interesting.
And finally, there's value-based differential pricing, or VBDP. This allows the price to change based on the specific use or the value it delivers in different patient groups. It addresses that scope issue we talked about. And importantly, some APMs can actually tackle more than one of these problems simultaneously.
That sounds really flexible, but, theory is one thing. Putting these into practice must have its own hurdles, right? What makes implementation tricky?
Oh, absolutely. Feasibility is key. Identifying the right model is just the first step. Actually making it work requires real collaboration. Common barriers. Well, data infrastructure is a big one. To run an OBA, you need to be able to track patient outcomes reliably. And sometimes the systems just aren't set up for that easily.
Mm-hmm. The data challenge.
Then there's the complexity of the contracts themselves. And sometimes government regulations, like price reporting rules in the U.S., can actually create disincentives for these novel approaches, even if unintentionally.
So it requires careful design.
Yes, pragmatic design choices are crucial. And underpinning all of it is the need for strong collaboration, real partnership between the payers and the manufacturers. They have to work together to overcome these hurdles.
Can you give us some examples? Where have we seen these models used successfully in the real world?
Sure. In oncology, there have been pilot OBAs for cancer drugs like bevacizumab and gefitinib. These help manage the value uncertainty, basically proving the drug's worth in real patient populations, and they navigated data issues pragmatically.
Okay, oncology makes sense. What else?
Well, for those really high-cost gene therapies we mentioned, like Zolgensma for spinal muscular atrophy or Luxturna for a rare form of blindness, installment payments at OBAs have been used there. They really help manage that huge initial budget hit and the uncertainty about long-term value for these potentially life-changing treatments.
Managing the cost and the risk for transformative therapies.
Exactly. And another great example is the subscription model used in Australia for the direct-acting antivirals, the DAAs, that cure hepatitis C.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that.
It was quite innovative. It tackled budget impact by setting a predictable cost, and it really broadened access, ensuring everyone who needed the cure could get it while giving manufacturers predictable cash flow.
Those are powerful examples. So, wrapping this up, what does this really mean for you listening? It seems clear APMs aren't just jargon or abstract ideas. They are practical tools, right? Tools we need to navigate this fast-moving world of medical innovation. And ultimately, they seem crucial for making sure these amazing new medicines actually get to the patients who need them without breaking the bank.
That's precisely it. And looking ahead, medical science isn't slowing down. We're going to see more targeted therapies, more potentially curative but high-cost treatments. So making APMs work effectively, refining them, it all comes down to that shared understanding and that commitment to collaboration across the whole health system, payers, manufacturers, doctors, everyone. So maybe the final thought for you is this. How do we collectively get better at fostering that collaboration? How do we build the trust and the infrastructure needed to unlock even more potential for patient access and keep driving innovation forward in the future?